Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to today's demonstration of Find a Code. My name is Brad Watt. I will be your host. I'll be your guide. I'll be the person that they flagged to take you through our webinar today. The purpose of our little get together is to take a good look at Find a Code, one of the, if not the best web-based code referential tools available to you, available 24/7, lives out there on the Amazon Web Services, very stable. When you need it, it's there. So you can always have the information that you need. Anyone who has any interaction with codes, CPT codes, diagnosis codes, any of those medical billing codes can benefit from a Find a Code subscription. We have large customers in every space, whether it's risk adjustment, it's pro fee coding, hospital, in the legal field with the use of all of the fees. Really great resource. So we're going to take a look at Find a Code, as well as show you some of the updated tools that we are working on, including an AI agent that lives inside of Find a Code that can really help you to answer the questions you're looking for, because ultimately that's the business that we're in, is to provide you with answers to the questions that you have, so that you can make a good decision and move on to the next chart, the next case, the next scenario, whatever you're working with. Find a Code's here to provide you with that information, so that you can make good decisions and be a little bit more accurate, be a little bit more efficient in the work that you're doing. So that's what we're going to do today. You should all be seeing my Find a Code screen. Just a note, we are in a GoToWebinar setting, which means that you should be able to hear me, but I won't be able to hear you. So you're not going to be able to stop me and say, hey, Brad, could you repeat that? Or I have a question for you, or whatever the case may be. But there is a way for you to communicate. Somewhere on your screen, there should be a little floating webinar box. On that box and that screen, there should be a chat function. The chat function is there to say, hey, you can shoot me a chat. You can send it right to me. I think I'm webinar moderator in there, and or you can send it to everyone. Doesn't matter. I try to make time at the end to kind of look at some of those questions. I typically don't answer questions as we go. So if you have a question, shoot it in there. And then if I have time towards the end, I'll quickly review those questions, and then if I can answer them, I'll answer them. If not, I can take them with you offline. But there's a little chat function, so go ahead and shoot me a chat if you have a question. So what we're looking at right now is the home screen. I'm just going to scroll up, make sure it's working. So this is the Find a Code home screen. Find a Code, as I mentioned, is just a tremendous code reference tool. You're going to have access to all of your codes, diagnosis codes, DRG, I-11, they're in there. I know that's kind of scary to think there's an I-11 codes in there. All your procedure codes, CPT HCPCS, dental if you need them, SNOMED, APCs, you name it, PCS codes, you got them in there, as well as our HCPCS codes, DME search, NDC search, your drug database, vaccinations, all sorts of things, all your checklists. You even have, if I go to other code sets, I click on that, we're going to have access to all of your ABC codes, all your alternative medicine codes. So like I said, anybody who's working inside of the coding world can benefit from a Find a Code subscription, because hey, you're going to be able to look at that and be able to see all this great information. Looks like mine really slow right now, so I apologize if it's really lagging. I'm getting a flag saying the internet's slow. So you gotta love technology, right? So hopefully we can make it through this. So the way most of our subscribers interact with Find a Code is they are getting into the granular level with codes. They have a specific question about a code, or they're coding from an op node. They have a chart, they're looking at it, and they're trying to figure out what codes they need to apply to make sure that this interaction is properly coded and built. So we have that. Then we also have from an auditory standpoint, people are again looking at rules. Hey, I'm going to look at policy information. Is this compliant with my local MAC for Medicare rules? Is there a policy from Humana or Aetna that I need to consider when I'm looking at this? Is there a scenario where I'm getting split guidance from CMS and from the AMA? So all that information is available to you inside of Find a Code. So I can get my CPT code assistant. Let me see my infos and my newsletters. I can get coding clinic. I can get CPT assistant, vignettes and power and knowledge base and all these other pieces of guidance, as well as things like coding companions, a Dr. Z radiology book, any of those types of things we can add to your Find a Code as well. So if you need that level of specificity with regards to how do I work with this specific code, you can do that inside of Find a Code. So let's do a couple examples using some of our tools in Find a Code with the most common use cases for Find a Code, for instance. So almost everyone that comes into Find a Code has to look up a code. So I can do this a couple of ways. I have my tabular search, I have my index search, and I always have these little text boxes hovering around, right? So I'm going to go down to my middle text box. It's right in the center, and I'm just going to look up a code. So I'm going to say, I need a code for diabetes. So I type in diabetes, and then Find a Code is going to go into the database, and it's going to pull up a list of all of the results that I get based off the filters that I have in place. So if you look on the left-hand side of my screen, you'll see I have ICD-10-CM, PCS, CPT, my modify. I have just an enormous amount of information that I can filter for my search results. And then over on the right-hand side, I have all of the tabs for the results of the things that I'm wanting my search to look in. So in this case, I've got I-10 clicked, I've got CPT clicked, I've got HCPCS, I've got NDC drugs, and so you'll see a corresponding category tag for each one of those. So if you're working with a tool like Find a Code and it doesn't give you this level of search capability, maybe we should talk, right? Because this is really going to help you be more accurate, find the information that you're looking for. So I'm going to click right on my ICD-10. I'm going to see I've got all my results that say diabetes. So now I can come up here and you can see underneath it's got some suggested search terms. Diabetes is a big animal, right? So let's make that a little bit more specific. I'm going to hit type 2. Now it's going to go out, it's going to search and say, well, I'm going to look for all of the results for type 2 diabetes. You can see I've even got an ABC code in there. So now I have my E11s, E21, 22. I've got all that type of information in there. Most of our like certified coders, people who are looking up codes from scratch for nothing, they love this little feature here. This is our index search. So inside of Find a Code lives all your indexes. So your index that you would get in your I-10 manual or your CPT professional book, those are all going to be available to you inside of Find a Code. So I can go to my CPT, look it up through the index just like I would if I was using my manual. Same thing with my ICD-10. So I'm going to say, here's my diabetes type 2. And you notice I don't have anything for type 2 because you have to follow the tree based off of your index. So you got to go to diabetes first. So I click on my diabetes first. And now I'm going to go say diabetes. We'll just click on some stuff. Say with blah, blah, blah. I'm going to say with kidney complication or something along those lines. And look where it took me. Okay, it's going to take me because kidney complications and type 2 kind of go hand in hand. So here I have my E11.29 for my code. I can click on that and it's going to bring up a really great code detail page with tons of information in there. I can even open up my coding manual alongside. So now I have my section. Here's my type 2 diabetes with kidney complications section out of my manual. So now I can see that in my book. I've got my code page up here looking at all this great information. So it's really, really a powerful way to look up codes and to find the codes. So, but let's say I'm not a coder. Let's say I would have no idea that I would need to go to diabetes first in my index to get to the right spot. Let's say I just want to ask. We have come up with an agent, a assistant that lives inside of Find a Code. You can just ask your questions. So I don't know if any of you have ever been to an education session, a course, and there's this amazing instructor up there who seems like they know everything. I came from I've been in this space for a long time. One of my favorite instructors, her name's Shannon McCall. She works for HC Pro. She does on-sites and stuff like that. And if you ever thought, man, I wish I could just have Shannon with me at my desk all the time. Well, that's kind of what we're going for with Aimee. And inside of Find a Code, under our tools, there's a little Aimee beta. And if you're profiled as a beta tester, then you'll have that there. If not, then it's coming. But basically what happens is it brings up this great screen. And then I can go in and say, hey, Aimee, I just type it in there, or I can speak it with my little microphone if I want. I like to type it because when I speak, I'm very unknown. Sometimes the microphone picks it up, sometimes it doesn't. So anyway, it says, what diagnosis codes should I use for type 2 diabetes with a kidney complication? Okay, let's spell that right. And spell that right. And then we'll ask Aimee and we'll see what Aimee says. So remember, I have this, I always wanted this expert to sit next to me. So I'm going to ask my expert here and see what she says, because I didn't know I was going to have to go to diabetes first in my index. I would be totally lost in that massive manual. So here I have the quick answer. It says there are 3 primary diagnosis codes: E21. Let me go up to the top here. E21, E22, E1129. That's my answer. And I had that really quickly. I have my keynotes. It's going to tell me to do a couple things like, hey, if it's a long-term insulin, also remember to port this. We've got our code also information here. You got to put something in there from the end sections here to do that. And one of the things that separates Aimee from like your Google search, or because I know everybody's searched for codes up on Google. Everybody's typed that in there on Google or chat or wherever your case may be, is this right here at the bottom. We have these links that we're going to say, okay, here is not only what Aimee says, this is what your answer is, but here is the source where we went to formulate the answer. Here is E11.21. Now I can look at all this great information. Okay, here's my includes, here's my here's that use additional I just highlighted, right? It's right there. I have that. Here's what it excludes. I got all my coding guidelines, as well as I have more information from the Find a Code teams, my common language description, where we give a bigger description of what E11.21 actually means. Here's my specificity. Here are all of my official guidelines from CMS. I have that information right here. I have my Medicare policies. I have my any articles from Coding Clinic. I can open that up and I can see I have 9 articles from Coding Clinic. So in addition to having that assistant or that expert that's sitting right next to me, who I can just ask this question and say, hey, you know, what diagnosis code should I use for type 2 diabetes with a kidney complication, and get the answer. Inside of Aimee, you're also going to get some links to support that decision. Where did we formulate that answer? So that not only do I get the right answer, but also I can defend that right and that answer if needs be. So and we'll do a couple more Aimee search, 3 or 4 more Aimee searches here in a second as we kind of go along. So that's kind of how the search works. You have your traditional search where you search for a key term. You have the index search where you can go in and find that code directly through the index, just like you learned inside of your certification tests, as well as being able to just go in and ask Aimee and say, you know, what code should I use? What code should I do for this one? So there's a lot of tools inside of Find a Code that are that really separate it from the competition. For instance, I'll just do a quick look. One of them that we really like is a list of codes. So if your current tool is just letting you look up codes and gives you a code description and a little bit of information about it, we should really look at Find a Code for to get you a better tool for the same amount of money. Imagine having all of these different tools. I'm going to look right here and go to search. All these tools are just kind of included in your Find a Code subscription. There's a few add-ons in here like Walter's Clear database and your commercial payer policies, but everything else is just kind of part of your subscription, where I can come in here and say, well, I need to I have this project. I need to build a list of codes for this particular practice. So I'll just go and say, I'm going to grab every CPT code that starts with 64483. I could really filter that down based off of, what its global periods are, what modifiers are affirmative for it, all these other things, whether it's an add-on code or not, whether it's adult or not, you name it. But anyway, I can just create my list, and just like that, bang, I've got my list of codes with the descriptors, and look right over here. I can kick that out to an Excel spreadsheet, as a CSV file, and use it somewhere else inside of my job function. Really, really powerful tools inside of Find a Code. Not only do you have things like list a code, but we do have CCI tools. We have E&M calculators. People love this one. I'll just show you the Profi calculator really quickly. I can come in here and say 64483 and say 99212, and then immediately, based off of my zip code, we'll say, okay, Brad, this is what your fees are. Here's your calculators. And if I wanted to do a NCCI check from here, I can. I can put my modifiers on there. I'll do a CCI check from here so you can see what the results look like on a CCI check. We have that guy layered everywhere inside of Find a Code. You get your facility, non-facility, and your Medicaid CCI checks inside of our CCI tool. So you have that available for you as well. You quickly say, hey, okay, you're okay. Yeah, hey, Brad, you need to put a modifier on 99212. Here's the rationale. Then here's your list of modifiers that others are using. So we take the charge data from CMS and we just rank the number of modifiers used with those code combinations, and then display them for you right here. So you can quickly look at it and say, hey, almost 80% of the time they append to 25 on 99212 when they use 64483. We're not saying it's always right, but that's what people do most often. So that's why that's in there. So really, really great resources there from a tool standpoint, as well as, maybe I just have maybe if I just have a question about a code. So I'm just going to go to and kind of use that other scenario where I know what code I'm looking at. I just want to learn more about that code. I need to get into the rules. So I'm going to just tie in J44.1 here, chronic COPD code. It's out there. It's a pretty common code. You see that all the time. And what you'll get is a code detail page as well as your book view. I know having that coding manual next to you is super important, very valuable. So we have that there. You can get it out of the way if you'd like. So maybe I don't want my code book there. I just want my information about the code. Over here on the menu bar, there's a little open book with a magnifying glass on it. It's called, and that's our book view. So I can click on that, and now my book is closed. If I want to open it up again, I just click on that, and now my manual's back. So I'm going to close it to get it out of the way so you can see a little bit better about the information. Tons and tons of icons. I know it's a chronic condition. I know it's got an excludes 1 and excludes 2. I know it's an HCC code, all from just a quick glance at the icons. I can go through here and see all my includes, code alsos, excludes, use additionals. All of those coding guidelines are all placed right at the very top. So any of the guidelines that are affirmative for that category or code is going to show up directly below the code and the descriptor. I got some full illustrations here, really clean, easy to see, so that I can see kind of, a little bit more on the anatomy side about what's going on with that particular diagnosis or procedure. And then I can get down into things like my common language description. So maybe I want to know a little bit more about what COPD actually is, because let's be honest, sometimes our code descriptors aren't terribly descriptive. And so it's nice to be able to get a little bit more information about what's actually happening with that particular diagnosis or procedure. All of my chapter and section notes are going to be right here. I can see those. All of my, documentation guidelines are all pulled right here. I can have a link out to the guideline manual, so I can quickly search that if I ever need a copy of the full manual. I've got that there. What we do is we're going to grab the category and the chapter and the actual code guidelines, if they're applicable and available, and display them for you right here. So I can quickly look at all my documentation guidelines right here on my code detail page. Code history, as well as things like Medicare policies. So in this case, J44.1, I'm set in Florida. So I've got First Coast as my MAC. I'm going to see all of the LCDs, NCDs, and articles that are impacting J44.1 based on the area that I'm in. So I can change my location with just a quick drop down. I can go to Utah, I can go to Arkansas, you name it, I can do that. Or if I want to see them all and hit national, I can click on my national and see that as well. If I want to see the active and the draft and the suspendeds, I just open up this little click here. Now I have my 2 active coding documents. I've got 1 in draft status, and I've got 4 that have been superseded or retired. If I want to go to that location on the CMS website, I can click on the view. Sometimes we have to have that URL, right? So I can click on that. It's going to hyperlink me out to that coding article. I'm going to accept all this good stuff. And so now I'm at that coding article on the CMS website. If you've ever had to search for anything on the CMS website, or if you're currently searching stuff now, you can just lose days of your life. These are the days of our lives, and they're going away on the CMS website. It's just not easy to find things there. So we do have a link directly to them, or we can pull that information directly into Find a Code. And now I can see all the codes. I can see the article information, the coverage guidance. I got all that type of information displayed for me right there as well. So I can go back to my code detail page. So that's where all your Medicare policies and guidelines are going to be. We also have an option. It's an add-on feature where you can add commercial payer policies. So I can go through and I can choose maybe, I think we have 80 some odd payers that are scrubbed, and you can look for payer policies as well. Walter's Chlor Drug Dictionary is an add-on. This is where we're going to grab all of the FDA approved, generally accepted, and other drugs that are used with this particular diagnosis, and we display them for you. And then if you want to take a look at that code or that drug, you just click on it. We'll pull up a great drug page, and we'll take a look at one in just a minute. We also have a medical laboratory test add-on that allows you to see, okay, here are all the tests that are associated with this particular diagnosis and their likelihood of being approved by Medicare. So if you have a yellow, you better have your ducks in a row, because you have a 50% chance that it's going to get denied. And if it ever shows up red, just don't do that. It's just not going to happen. So you have your medical lab test as well. So enormous amounts of information, lots and lots of crosswalks as well. So I can quickly say, okay, well, what HCC is J44.1 in? What procedure codes is this diagnosis going to support from a medical necessity standpoint? All based off of a verifiable and defendable resources. So these are all coming from AMA guidance, CMS coding articles, pairings that they've accepted, things of that nature. So you have all that type of information, UB04 revenue codes, SNOMED, DRG links, all that type of crosswalks are going to be available for you as well. So lots of great information, tons of drug information in Find a Code. So if you're finding that your teams are in a tool that doesn't give you lots of options from NDC numbers, packaging labels, all those types of things, maybe really take a good look at Find a Code. It's just going to be able to give you lots of great information from that point of view as well. So and just for a quick example, maybe we can go into Aimee and just quickly ask, if I have a drug that I want to know what the NDC numbers are. So I could say, hey, Aimee, what are the NDCs associated with amino, what's that drug? How do I spell it right? Filene, yeah, aminophylline. So I've got that in there. I'm going to click that. And then what Aimee's going to do is say, hey, I'm going to go look in the drug database that you have access to because you have a Find a Code subscription. It doesn't cost you any extra. It's all in there. So I have that in there, and I was going to go in there and say, okay, Brad, hey, here are my drug level entries. Here's my specific NDC codes. I've got all of those. Here are some keynotes. And then it's also going to give you links to the codes that you should probably use when you're working with that particular code. So like here's a J code, J0280. So I'm going to go out to the J0280. It's an injection up to 250 milligrams of aminophylline. Got that, right? So I have that code there. I can come up here and look at the actual drug IDs or the specific NDCs. Let's say I want this 25 milligram. I want to look at that one. I can click on that. This is what's great about Aimee compared to your all the other AI stuff out there, all your Google searches and Geminis and chats and all that stuff. Not only am I getting my answer, but I've got all my research done, right? So now I'm going to jump out. Here's my J code. Here's my NDC. Here are my packaging and my pricing. I've got all this stuff inside of Find a Code. Think of how easy and how clean and how simple my process can be when I have all of the right answers to the questions that are coming up. And not only do I have the right answers, but I have access to them in one tool with a really, really easy to follow user interface that I can just ask my question, get my answers, and go from there. So really, really great tool. You can do things like not only that, but maybe I can, since we were on J44.1, I can say, can I use J44.1 to support a, let's see, let me spell these right. I'm the worst at spelling. Phosphorus serum test. I can handle test. I hit enter. Again, Amy's going to do all the things that I could do this inside. This is the thing that's interesting. I can find all this information and Find a Code. I can navigate on my code detail page. So I can go, so it's going to reference the code detail page and my medical lab test add-ons. I can go in here and I can go find those tests. I can find those crosswalks here. I can come down here to my drug dictionary and my tests and scroll through those and find those. But what Aimee does, it says, I'm going to help. I'm just going to answer your question because I know your time is really valuable. And then I'm going to give you the link to the source inside of your fabulous Find a Code tool because it's there anyway. But I know I can get to it a little bit quicker than you because I'm a computer and you're a human being, and they do weird. They're just faster that way. So Amy's going to go in there and find the answer to that question, give you the sources to the answer. This is how I came up with my answer. And here's a link, by the way, so that you can defend your decision based off of my answer. So Amy's really going to provide you with just, again, it's that expert sitting at your desk with you. And I think that's just such a great resource because as I'm going throughout my day, as I'm coding and I'm looking up codes, maybe I'm just not sure this is the right code. I can ask Aimee, and Aimee will give me an answer based off of the Find a Code information that I was already looking in, but maybe she just has a different point of view and can find it quicker for me. Or maybe I can go through and say, hey, I want to know if there's going to be a potential flag on a procedure. So let's see, let's go to let me get some of these out of the way so it's not so busy up there. Let's go through and ask a question. You know, what code should I use for a insertion of a it's a DE, isn't it? Defibrillator. We'll enter that and see what she says. Let me search defibrillator insertion codes for you. And she's going to go through and look inside of the CPT code set and say, hey, here's a breakdown of all these different codes. Okay, there's 33249, there's 332. So here I am, just like if I was to search that in the code deal. Okay, so she's going to come through and say it's going to defend. And at the bottom, she says, okay, is this new? Is this a replacement? You know, what is this? So I can say, well, it's replacement with leads. Okay, so I know that. So I'm not a coder, but I know that. So let me look at the specific code for you. So she's going to go back in. She's got more information here, and now she's going to say, okay, quick answer, 33249. That's the one we should be using. Okay. Gives me a couple other options based off other scenarios, and then gives me links to those pages. So now if I really want to make sure, I can click on my 33249. Again, I go to that page. It's already in Find a Code, and I'm looking at all my guidelines, expanded descriptor. I can understand all that type of information. Oh, wow, I've got a vignette in here that's going to help me with a scenario if I've got that added to my subscription. I have all that information, and so now I can feel confidence and say, okay, 33249 is what I want. But maybe I want to check and say, is there Medicare article that impacts 33249 in Utah. I live in Utah, so we're going to go to Utah all the time with these questions. So is there a Medicare article that impacts 33249 in Utah? And Aimee's going to say, well, let me look, and say, yep, Noridian, there is an active article that's right there. She's going to give me my answer, give me my keynotes and risks based off of that. Notice that's for that she's already pulled the NCD that covers implantable cardioverter defibrillators for the entire country. I have all that information. Here's my links to be able to say, here's my article, here's my NCD number, here's my ICD-10 code. So I have all that information pulled for me right there. Again, I can go to 33249 on the code detail page, and I can look and search that up. I can find that. But Aimee can grab that for me really quickly, and now I have access to it. So I can go and I can look right at that NCD. So I can look at all the information, coverage guidance, coding information, all that stuff is going to be for me right there. Whoops, let me go back to my screen. I have that there. And then we can go take it to the next level and say, what about Humana? I can say, what about Humana? Does Humana have a policy? And she's going to go out and she's going to look in my commercial payer policy add-on and say, yep, Humana has a policy. Here it is. She's going to give me a quick summary of what's going on with that particular policy from Humana. And then also, again, here's the power. Not only does she say, yeah, here's a policy from Humana, and kind of here's a quick summary of that. We got to look at all those codes. But looky there, I got a link to my Humana policy. Takes me right out to the Humana website. It's all publicly available to you. Boom, there's my policy from Humana, as well as I have my NCD, I have my local LCD and coding article from my MAC in Utah. I have all of that information has been laid out for me by Aimee. So again, if you've ever thought, man, I just wish I had a trusted coder who I always have access to, right? Because I know we have people all in our world who we would ask things like that. Yep, I'm gonna ask that. I could ask that, but they're busy. And let me get back to you on Thursday next week. But Aimee is going to be with you all the time, so you're going to be able to quickly ask Aimee the questions that you have, get the answers that you can trust, because she's pulling the rationale and the information that she's using to formulate those responses from the Find a Code database. And so if you trust the Find a Code information, then you can trust Aimee. We can't always say that with our large LLMs and our other AI pieces out there. If you've worked in coding, you probably ran into an AI response that you thought, where did they get this? Well, I'll tell you where they get this. They get it wherever they can find it, and wherever they can grab it on the internet and present it without pushback, they'll present it again. In fact, we just did we work with a lot of partners inside of Find a Code, and one of our partners told us that they did a review. They work specifically with drugs. They did a review, and they found that LLMs got drug assignment based off of a diagnosis code incorrect 55% of the time. So you have a coin flip whether or not that was going to be right if you asked an AI agent, which was crazy to me. But with Aimee, because it's only looking at the pairings in an NDC from the FDA, pairings from Wolters Kluwer, a trusted source in that space, you're going to have a lot more confidence. So yeah, tremendous available resource with regards to being able to answer questions and always have that that partner right there with you. So like I said, that information is on a code detail page. So you can come to Find a Code and you can get all of that information available to you. You can open up your coding manual, see the code inside of its category with the code above it, with the code below it, all sorts of edits and icons. If you ever want to see everything that we scrub for a particular code, you just click on this little, click on one of those icons and look at all the things that we're scrubbing the code against to make sure that you're told, hey, you need to make sure that you're aware of X, you're aware of Y, to make sure that let's see, I got my icon legend. Make sure that you're taking into consideration all the gray and all the scenarios that may impact that particular code. Really powerful tool. Let me see if there's anything else I want to show you. I did want to show you some more on the CPT code detail page. This additional code information section, so I can come to my any code detail page and get all the information that Aimee's using to create answers and look at it myself. It's always been there. Things like an MUE or a clinical classification, whether or not it's a multi-procedure affirmative or not, whether you can use an 80 or an 82 icon, whatever the case may be, you're going to have access to that right from the physician's fee schedule. It's going to pull that for you. Modifier lists. One of the things that really separates Find a Code from some of our competitors is instead of generic modifier lists that just get dropped on every code, the modifier lists are customized for the code you're on. So if I'm on 33249, I'm only viewing modifiers that are used on Medicare claims, used and accepted. So I can look and say, okay, here are the top modifiers billed to Medicare. 64% of the time it's QO, you got GC, you got all of those different modifiers. If I want to see the entire list, I just click on the whole list and I can see that. Again, we just pull that right from Medicare data and present it to you so that you don't have to guess or try to figure out which modifiers make sense with this particular CPT code, whether or not it's an add-on code, all of those types of things. In this case, 33249 is the primary code, but it does have an add-on code. It's 33225. So you have that information right there. I don't have to go look at an Excel spreadsheet or a list of add-on codes to try to see if there is an add-on code that I should be using with 33249. I have that for you right here. You can add things like those vignettes. Tremendous resources when you just want to make sure you're in the right place and that the scenario adds up. These come right from the AMA and can be had as part of our AMA knowledge pack, where you get vignettes, knowledge base, and CPT assistant for a great price, $300. When you think of the CPT assistants, $250 by itself, it's a great price to be able to get all of that whole pack of information coming from the AMA, that trusted source on CPT, and have it right here inside of my my coding tool. Talked about NCCI. Again, you can be able to get your facility, your non-facility, and then up in the tools, if you come to the validation section up here on the top, you'll see that you have access to the Medicaid. We also embed one of the text box to enter pairings right here inside of your code detail page. So now I don't even have to navigate. So I can see my units of service, my adjudication indicator, my MUE rationale, and then all my edits with the ones and the zeros. All that stuff matters. So all that stuff is reflected here inside of your Find a Code. But again, you can just come through and say, I just want to know if I can use these codes together, Brad. I don't want to look at all. Oh, I typed too many zeros. I don't want to have to look through all that. I just want to be able to say, am I okay to use these 4 codes together? Hit validate. Then what we'll do is we'll go and grab those codes, present it to you in a kind of a claim view versus just a relationship view. I know a lot of our competitors will give you a relationship view, and it just adds a few extra seconds for me to have to sort through it. And so what we do at Find a Code is we give it to you in the way it should be placed on a claim. And so in this case, we got 33249, green check. That means you're okay. 36013, you got to have a modifier. Here are your top modifiers. See how fast this is going to be. Boom, 51. I got that on there. Red, that means you can't do that, Brad. You got to get 33262 out of here. You got to get 64405 out of here. So now I know that I can't bill those. I'm down to 36013 and 33249. I need to put a modifier on 36013. Voila, kick it out to a report because maybe a provider sent me all these codes and now he's irritated that he's not going to get paid for all these codes. Technically he is because they're bundled. But then you can explain it to them and say, hey, okay, here's the rationale, here's how it gets. Then up here on the top, I can jump back and forth without having to re-enter between facility and non-facility. Now I'm on facility. Now I can use that 36013 and 64405 now because it's facility setting. Now I can do that. And I can also jump into my Medicaid edits. So I can see usually Medicaid and non-facility are the same. Yep, looks like it. Sometimes, but they're not. That's why they're separate. So I can just jump between all those different types of edits, CCI edits, all on the same screen without having to re-enter anything. So really, really awesome resource to be able to make sure that I'm staying compliant from a correct coding initiative standpoint. We looked at policies, fees. Fees are a huge part of Find a Code. You can add for a very small fee, usual, customary, and reasonable fees that we gather from the VA. They are cited in legal proceedings all over this country. Find a Code has a tremendous presence with life care planning, with the legal space. Anybody that's working with codes and how much they are worth in a given geographical area can benefit from Find a Code. So you're going to get all of your fee sections, even FQHC. If there was an FQHC code there, that puppy would pop in there. Here's your UCR data. Going to be able to see, here's what my workers' comp looks like. Here's my UCR based on my location. I don't even know where I am. In Florida, 31222, I think that's Miami area. And then my Medicare information. I got all that stuff for you right here. All of your fee data is going to be available, all of your RVUs. So if I just need to know some of this other type of information, I got it. I've got it for you right here inside of my Find a Code subscription. I don't have to go out and look anywhere else. Plus, if I'm stuck or if I just want a really quick, fast answer to my questions, I can just ask Aimee. And that's where we're really, really going to be able to separate is I can just go ask Aimee, what are the codes for new? I have them over here on the left, so I don't have to type them. Aimee will actually save your questions for you, so for quick reference. So if you find yourself having to answer the same question over and over again, maybe you're an educator or you're working with a provider who doesn't seem to get a certain concept, you can save your answers, save your queries over here on the left-hand side, and you always got it. So I can go through and say, hey, I asked Aimee, what were the codes for new patient visits? There they are, got them. And just like that, I have the list of E&M codes that I should use for a new office visit, plus their time thresholds, MDM levels, all right there, plus my link so I can go out and find there. So I've got all that type of information. What codes can I use for a bilirubin test? Got it, right? So you can ask Aimee those questions when maybe you want a quick answer because it's a complicated question and you wanted to grab all of the references from these different areas and formulate an answer for you so you can present it to somebody else really quickly, or you just need a good place to start. Aimee is going to be able to be a tremendous asset for anyone that has to work with codes, especially if you're not a certified coder. I know certified coders are going to get tons of value from Aimee because it's going to enhance that knowledge base that you all already have, that you studied so hard for, and you have all that experience. But maybe I play on the fringe of that. And so I'm kind of dangerous because I know some things, but I don't have the depth. And I just wish I had that expert with me all the time. Well, now you can with Aimee. So Aimee's our AI assistant, our AI expert. She's going to live inside of Find a Code. We are in beta stage right now. And so beta is going to go probably for another month. So we're hoping to roll Aimee out in May at some point. Fully. We will be showing Aimee at the HealthCon in Dallas, the AAPC, big AAPC HealthCon conference that's coming up next month. We'll be there. We'll be able to take so if you're heading there, stop by the booth, take a look at Find a Code, and we can take a close look at Aimee. Maybe get you a trial, get your feet wet, and see if Find a Code's a better resource than what you're currently using. My money is that it is a better resource. I don't know. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I've been in this space for going on 20 years now, and I have worked on, helped design, sold most of our competitors, and I can tell you that you are getting more for your dollar with Find a Code without any hesitation. You're getting more information, you're getting better information, and you're getting more tools and ways to work with that information than simply just having it on a screen. Need to kick it out of Find a Code into an Excel spreadsheet because you need to make a big list, got you covered. You want to export that whole list of crosswalks because you need to talk about medical necessity with your providers, got you covered. Do I want to ask an AI agent that I can actually trust with references to how they formulated the answer? Find a Code's got you covered, and it should be here pretty soon. So Aimee's coming. We're super excited about it. Let me get you my contact information. We're 11:45, then I can go look at questions. So my contact information is, find the right button, Brad. There we go. So if you want to try this, if you have a question about pricing, if you want to have another demo with me where we can go more back and forth, shoot me an email. My email address is brad.watt@anovihealth.com. My phone number, it's a direct line, it's direct line with an extension, 801-692-7278, extension 132. Email is probably best, brad.watt@anovihealth.com. So we'd love to get you on a trial. We'd love to have an extended demo with you, get your feedback so that we can see if Find a Code's a better answer to the questions you have inside of your organization is, what are we going to use for a code reference? I know there's a lot of software out there. There's a lot of options, but you still need a source of truth. You still need some place that you can go and answer a question. Because too often our software products in revenue cycle, they're logic-based or AI-driven, and they are doing what they're doing. And if you need to question them or come up with a different answer, they aren't the place to go to look for that. But Find a Code can be that place for you. So brad.watt@anovihealth.com. Let us get you set up with a trial. Let us get you with an extended demo so that we can go back and forth and see what parts of Find a Code work best for you, what add-ons might be beneficial for you, and see if we can get you into a better use of your budgeting dollars to get you a better resource tool, better reference tool, so that your people can be more accurate and a little bit more efficient as well. So that's my contact information. Let me jump over here to questions. Can I search codes by a specific provider, such as Psych? So the search is going to be based off of code descriptions first, content inside of guidelines, and contents. So basically, we've fed Aimee hundreds of thousands of questions as well. So if you're looking for psych codes, yeah, you can look through all the CPT codes or the diagnosis codes. So maybe you want a diagnosis code that has DSM-5, things like that. I'll have to double check, but it makes sense that you'd be able to look up any of your codes based off of your category, because they're categorized inside the code set. So that's a good great questions. Okay, I have Find a Code Professional, but I don't have Aimee Access. Okay, so Aimee Access is we're picking right now. It's not for everybody yet. So we're in beta. We have beta testers who are working on it now. And when it's ready to roll out, then our fabulous marketing people will let you all know that Aimee's available for you to add to your subscription as well. So, so if you don't have it now, it will be available. I'm crossing my fingers in the air here, sometime in May, June, probably June for sure. I shouldn't say that. My development guy's head just exploded. So, but we're really, really close. Okay. Do you have an add-on for Aimee to pull all the data? Let me get this. Okay, so yes and no. So basically, if it's in Find a Code, Aimee's going to have access to it. Now, this gets into, well, I don't have CPT Assistant, Brad. How can I get a question queried, that's based on a CPT Assistant article? Well, right now, AI can use that data. We just can't give you the article. Okay, so you can ask a question about a CPT Assistant article, and Aimee can give you an answer based off of that article, but she can't. And she will link you too. She'll link you to that article. But if you don't have it as part of your subscription, when you click on it, it's going to give you that challenge page and say, hey, you got to buy this. But Aimee is going to is taking into her brain all of that data. So all of that information that's inside of Find a Code is being fed into Aimee. And then what we're doing on the back end is we're trying to, so one thing AIs are great at is, they call it an AI hallucination. They love to share information, whether it's applicable or not. So what we're doing and spending a lot of time is making sure that the output that Aimee gives our subscribers is only dealing with the question that they're asking, because a lot of times that's where AIs go off the rails, is they just try to give you too much. So we're working really hard to make sure that Aimee isn't overwhelming your information. Oh, great question. Will all subscriptions have Aimee? Probably not. We're still working on how we're going to price Aimee, because unfortunately, AI and LLMs do have a associated cost to them. And so part of our beta strategy is we're trying to see what our usage is, how much people actually use it every day, because then it will determine how much we can use it. Will Aimee be in VLab? Nope, Aimee will not be in VLab. Sorry about that. Can I search? I'm going through a lot of questions here. Do you have to have the add-ons for Aimee to pull it out? I think I just answered that one, kind of. So you won't get that. You won't get the reference text. You won't be able to see the Coding Clinic article in its entirety, word for word. But Aimee can use that article to answer your question. If that makes sense. Okay. Hallucinations. You already. Yeah, thank you, Amanda. I'm sure you must have experienced that. Right now, Aimee is trained that if she doesn't know, she'll say, "I don't know." And like I said, we've been asking almost 200,000 questions. So and she's being very good. Okay. Very, very good. Let's see, would PDGM friendly and good? Yes. So we actually have a PDGM calculator and all your home health, your home health classification numbers. We don't have all some of the OASIS information isn't all in Find a Code, but yeah, there's a lot of great home health information inside of Find a Code. That's a great question, Julie. In fact, let me go to my Find a Code. Here's my home health PDGM calculator, so I can give you all you have here. See, here's your OASIS information there. Clickety clickety click, and it's give you your appropriate assignment based off of that reimbursement methodology. So you have a home health category. The diagnosis codes will flag the home health clinical classifications and all that type of stuff as well. So yeah, there's some great home health information inside of Find a Code as well. Great question. I can't hear anything. Okay, sorry about that. I think it was a internet connectivity issue. Isn't that the standard answer for any issue online? Is that it was slow. It was giving me a flag. I could see it pop up saying bad connection, and it seemed to go away based off of my hoping that it would. So there's that. So thank you for these questions. Let me see if I have any more. Yep, more primary, covered that. How do we access the 2-week trial? Shoot me the email at brad.watt@anovihealth.com, and then I'll get you set up with a 2-week trial. What will happen is I go into the Find a Code, put in your email address will be your username. Find a Code will send you an email with a welcome link. Click on your link, set your own password, and away you go. So pretty slick. Just let me know. Shoot me an email, brad.watt@anovihealth.com, and I can get that set up for you. Okay, I think I have answered the questions. Again, thanks for taking a few minutes to join me today. I hope you got a little bit out of it. Find a Code is a tremendous resource. All the information that you would need, like I said, MPI numbers, DME, all that LCD, NCD searches, all that type of stuff. So if you're using a tool already, but they don't allow you into the databases, those databases to look things up, pull the information, create lists, kick it out, have a multi-layered search where I can look in my notes and also look in the NDC, the drug database, and also look at my I-10 codes all simultaneously. It'll give Find a Code a look. It's going to make your life a lot easier just because of the amount of functionality and the amount of tremendous content that's in it. We're a reference tool. We want you to be able to code out of it. We want you to be able to audit out of it. We want you to be able to answer any questions surrounding codes. And we work really hard to make sure that it's accurate, it's up to date. We even have a little date tool in there that allows you to pick a given date. And you can go back in time, and all the information that you see is based off of that date. So a lot of great resources inside of Find a Code. It's almost impossible to show it all to you. That's why if you're interested and you're wondering, I wonder if it can do this, shoot me an email at brad.watt@anovihealth.com. Let's set up a quick demo. I can send you a little Google Meet. You can just show you, and you can ask your questions directly, and see if Find a Code is going to be the answer to a workflow issue that you may have in your current practices and your current situations. We'd love to be that that solution for you. Again, brad.watt@inovihealth.com. 801-692-7278, extension 132. I'd love to start that dialogue with you and hopefully have you become part of the Find a Code family. So thanks very much for your time. I'll double check questions, make sure I didn't have anything new. Looks great. So you can go ahead and jump off if you choose. I'll hang out for just another 2 minutes and see if any other questions come through. But otherwise, this will conclude our demo. Thank you for taking a few minutes and spending with me today. Have a great rest of your day.